Hello, hello, hello. Thank you again for joining me today on the Community Ledger. I had to hop back on here again today because we have more Democratic chaos happening. It looks like a Democratic leaning judge, a federal judge, has just ordered an airplane full of Venezuelan gangs to turn around midair and be brought back to the United States. We got to talk about it. So go ahead, get you something to drink, and let's dive in. Yes, yes, yes. Again, thank you for joining me today. My name is Andrea Banu. If you have not already, go ahead and press that subscribe button so I can get some more love and appreciation and continue putting out this content. But we got to jump right into it. You heard it right at the beginning of the intro. A federal judge has just ordered Trump, who deported a airplane full of Venezuelan gangs, to turn around midair and drop them back off in the United States. Yes, you heard it right. And I'm going to go ahead and play a clip from the national media, and then we're going to get into what's going on, because this is crazy. Sorry. Here we go.
Judge blocking President Trump from using a wartime law to fast track the deportation of Venezuelan gang suspects out of the U.S. and demanding that the flights carrying them return back here.
Former acting ICE director and former federal prosecutor Jonathan Fahey joins us now. Great to see you this morning, Jonathan. So, just big picture, if you're looking at this whole situation and you're concerned about the integrity of the judiciary, and you see a president trying to deport suspected and known, Trendaragua gang members, and you have a judge that nobody's ever heard of interfering with this and ordering the planes to be returned, you have to think it's going to really undermine the judiciary.
Well, it's another situation where a judge has really taken on the role of sort of the executive branch. And I think the judge's defense would be, well, we're just stopping this so the merits, it could be heard on the merits, because once these people have been removed, they never would have a chance to have it heard on the merits. But it does concern me when they're turning flights around and things like that that create possible safety issues. But I think one of the bigger points here is the whole reason we have this problem is because the Biden administration admitted these gang members into the country and put them on temporary protective status, and they wined them and dined them while they were here. And some of the results of it are Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungary, which we've talked about a lot on these shows. But it really is a disgrace, because this is the only way they can deport them, because some of them have status because of the Biden administration, even though they're gang members. So, the Biden administration created this problem, this emergency, and the Trump administration is simply trying to protect public safety and national security here.
Jonathan, it actually goes deeper than just Biden opening the border and allowing it to happen. We're going to have a guest on our show a little bit later on. His name is Joseph Humeyer. He embedded himself with some of the caravans and did some investigation. Who's funding this? And he says this is absolutely weaponized migration, that the funding for these caravans that were coming up, including the Tren de Aragua, who was released from Venezuela, that Venezuela, China, and other bad actors were funding these NGOs in order to cause and sow chaos here in the United States. This is actually a form of warfare in a way. And so that's why what I see happening here is really troublesome. There were only 5 guys, and we know they were Tren de Aragua, and we know those are, funded by the Venezuelan government in many ways and directed by them. How can this judge do this?
Yeah, I think he really is overstepping his bounds, and I think he will be reversed, or ultimately they'll have a hearing on the merits. He'll probably rule against the Trump administration, and then it will get reversed with a higher court, because the executive branch has discretion to make these types of decisions, particularly in wartime. And remember, we've declared Trinidad and Tobago a foreign terrorist organization, and then to invoke the Alien Admission Act is also further example of how serious the executive branch treats that, and they will be given deference. But you're exactly right. These other countries, gang members, everything else has been using our immigration system to harm our country, and the Democrats certainly just welcomed it in every respect.
Jonathan, when we look at this, the Alien Enemies Act, it was used in the War of 1812, World War I, World War II. So it's not like we haven't had an opportunity to decide the constitutionality of this law. It's been used several times, even with the Japanese internment camps in World War II. So the constitutionality of the law should be pretty solid at this point, if it took 200 years to come up with a gripe. So is the sticking point from the ACLU how this law is being used? Is it because the old law says a foreign country and now this is a terrorist organization? Or is it simply we're not sure this legislation is even constitutional to begin with?
I think they're going to fail. You're exactly right. They're going to fail on saying it's unconstitutional. They're just going to say this wasn't an invasion, but the other language in there is a predatory incursion. And you certainly can make the strong argument this is a predatory incursion. Right. You know, again, Lake and Riley, Jocelyn and Nungery, these apartment complexes. So I think they fail on both fronts, but the stronger argument is the second one that you mentioned.
Okay. Jonathan Fahey, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
So there you have it. There you have it. Judges actually ordering Venezuelan gangs, criminals, back into the country. You can't make this stuff up. This is insane. Let me go ahead and read this article to you in terms of what Trump just did in regards to invoking the Alien Enemies Act. Let me just make sure that you guys can see that clearly. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit of this. Bear with me because I am in the middle of transitioning prescriptions and I can't see much of nothing. So here we go. Okay, Judge blocks Trump from using Wartime Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to deport immigrants. Okay, a federal judge on Saturday night, this was just last night, a federal judge on Saturday night temporarily blocked President Trump from removing immigrants under a wartime law known as the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 after the president announced earlier in the day that he would enforce the law. Despite the ruling, 261 people were deported to El Salvador on Saturday, 137 of whom were removed under the Alien Enemies Act over alleged gang ties. A senior administration official said the White House and Justice Department have said they had already been removed from the country when the judge made his ruling. The judge's ruling was in response to a federal civil lawsuit filed Saturday by a group of 5 Venezuelan men in immigration custody in Texas and New York local jails against President Trump and other administrative officials. Mr. Trump invoked the 227-year-old wartime law earlier Saturday, and which he said he was going to do this. He said on the campaign trail, if I have to evoke this Alien Enemies Act, I'm going to do it. And he did it. Okay. The lawsuit filed in federal court in Washington, D.C. by attorneys with the ACLU and Democracy Forward argues the Alien Enemies Act is a wartime measure that has been used only 3 times in our nation's history. The War of 1812, World War I, and World War II. That don't mean we can't use it again. If the majority of the country agrees with Trump right now with regards to our immigration being a serious issue and deportation being necessary and gangs being removed from this country as a serious act, he got to do whatever he got to do. Okay. So just because we've only used it 3 times does not mean it's not necessary in this moment. Presidents are given the extraordinary power by the 227-year-old law to order the arrest, detention, and deportation of non-citizens who are 14 years or older and come from countries staging an invasion or predatory incursion of the U.S. Now, we can call this an invasion, okay? Because you had a mass influx of people, specifically cartel and gangs, Tren de Aragua, coming to our borders to commit crimes. And we also know predatory incursion because a lot of them did commit crimes, okay? We will never forget Jocelyn Nungery as well as Laken Riley, okay? And the host of others that didn't make national news. So invasion and predatory incursion of the U.S. all falls under that category. James E. Boasberg, Chief Judge of the District Court of the U.S. District of Columbia, on Saturday implemented a temporary restraining order preventing their deportations for 14 days. The Justice Department appealed that decision, arguing the D.C. court has no authority over the case because none of the 5 men are in the district. Okay. I'm just like, okay, wait a minute. So you have 5 men in Texas who wanted to appeal this, and they're not even on the plane being deported, and he's going to, I'm like, am I processing this right? But I'll go ahead and read. They further argued that invocation of the Alien Enemies Act is speculation. Then, following an emergency hearing Saturday evening, Boasberg expanded his order to include all non-citizens in U.S. custody who are covered by Mr. Trump's move to invoke the Alien Enemies Act. We are thrilled the judge recognized the severe harm our plaintiffs would face if removed. What? The ACLU attorney leading the lawsuit against Mr. Trump's proclamation following Boasberg's decision. The president's use of the Aliens Enemies Act is flat out lawless. How can you say such? I can guarantee you, okay, if they have rounded up all these people under suspicion of having gang ties, it's easily to vet. You can just partner with El Salvador and Venezuela and say, did these people come out of your prison? Do these people have a criminal record? See, that's the thing that Biden didn't do. They didn't vet anybody. So they don't know who has what on them. They don't know who has done what in their home country. So if we just start vetting these people, we're going to find some stuff. So if at the very least, order these people to be thoroughly investigated so we know exactly who they are. Then if you say, okay, this person has not committed a crime in his home country, they can stay for 14 days while we investigate their status. But these people have been charged with crimes in their home country. We need to get them out of there. But no, this judge is like, send everybody back. Let everybody stay. No, we cannot afford that. This is a national safety emergency. Trump did exactly what he was supposed to do. And again, like he said on the campaign trail, I will protect you whether you want me to or not. And he was talking about all citizens of America. Boasberg also appeared to indicate that any deportation flights that were currently in the air with migrants subject to this order on board should be returned to the U.S. But social media posts from Salvadorian president, I can't pronounce his name, Bukele, indicated at least one flight carrying deported individuals had arrived in his country after the order. In one post, Bukele commented on a news story about the ruling with "Oopsie, too late." The post was shared by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and White House Communications Director Stephen Chung. So this judge is like, bring them back. They're in the air. He's like, turn the plane around. An airplane full of Venezuelan gang members, men, gang members on the airplane. He said, turn the plane back, bring them back. That is crazy. I can't even believe this is happening. The Trump administration insists it did not defy the court order. However, the Justice Department, which has appealed the ruling, said in a court filing that several people had already been removed from United States territory under the proclamation before the issuance of this court's second order. It noted that the 5 men covered by the first temporary restraining order had not been deported. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Lovett on Sunday said the administration did not refuse to comply with the court order, also saying the order came after many people had already been removed from the country. The lawsuit states that Mr. Trump is expected to authorize immediate removal of non-citizens that the proclamation deems to be alien enemies without any opportunity for judicial review. So he's like, if I deem you an alien enemy, you got to go. You got to go. And listen, I'm all for it. So this is, I mean, it's crazy. This is just crazy. Let me go ahead and continue reading. As such, the government can identify any Venezuelan in the U.S. as a member of that gang, regardless of facts, and seek to deport them, the lawsuit alleges. They claim that, okay? That's what the Democrats claim. Attorney General Pam Bondi said in a statement responding to the ruling that tonight a DC trial judge supported Trinde Aragua terrorists over the safety of Americans. TDA is represented by the ACLU. This order disregards well-established authority regarding President Trump's power, and it puts the public and law enforcement at risk. See, this right here to me is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. Like, you're allowing dangerous people into the country, and we're just completely ignoring the possibility of terrorism. It's not just gangs, it's terrorism. We don't know anything about all of these people that came in. This is necessary. I'm going to go ahead and read you some more about Trinde Aragua, because a lot of people don't really know anything about these people. I have seen several documentaries about this gang, in particular MS-13, and a lot of these gangs that are coming from abroad, and they are vicious. Okay, it is not a game. It is not a game. We cannot afford to play with public safety in this manner. Let me get back over here. Let me go ahead and read. Okay, here we are. Trinde Aragua, all you need to know about the Venezuelan gang. Okay. The Trinde Aragua, the Venezuelan gang that President Trump is targeting in his latest wave of deportations, formed in a Venezuelan prison. Now, this is a gang that formed in prison, but has branched out to become a multinational crime organization that has pulled off brazen attacks in places ranging from New York City to Santiago, Chile. Trinde Aragua, Spanish for the Train of Aragua, was founded in 2014 in the Tacarón prison in the central Venezuela state of Aragua. It may have taken its name from the union of railroad workers building a train connection between Caracas and Aragua. Okay, the gang largely controlled the Tacarón prison, where it ran a zoo, swimming pool, disco, restaurant, and bar. From behind bars, its leaders ordered robberies, kidnappings, and murders. But as Venezuela sank into its worst economic meltdown in history and crime became less lucrative, the Trinde Aragua branched out overseas. It recruited new gang members from among the 8 million Venezuelans who had fled the country's economic crisis. Initially, it established criminal cells in neighboring Colombia, Peru, and Chile, where it smuggled drugs and people and operated extortion rackets and prostitution rings. The Trinde Aragua's most notorious alleged crime was in the 2024 unaliving of Ronald Ajada, a former Venezuelan army officer who conspired against Maduro, the country's authoritarian leader, then fled to Chile. Suspected gang member dressed as Chilean police officers abducted Adejo from his apartment. Days later, his lifeless being was found placed in a bag and in concrete. I'm going to leave the rest to your imagination. 2 Trinde Aragua members have been arrested in the case. The Trinde Aragua eventually expanded to the United States, which is home to about 700,000 Venezuelan migrants. Besides a wave of robberies, the Trinde Aragua is suspected in the shooting of 2 New York police officers and the unaliving of a former Venezuelan officer in Florida. Gang members have been arrested in Pennsylvania, Florida, New York, Texas, and California. Last year, the Biden administration labeled Trinde Aragua as a transnational criminal organization, and in January, the U.S. government designated the Trinde Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization. So why do you have a federal judge telling Trump that has deported a host of these people to bring them back? Please, somebody explain that to me. Explain it to me, because I am having a difficulty understanding. I'm having a hard time understanding. Now, listen, I get people have rights. However, when you were already in prison in your home country and were released for whatever reason or escaped, whatever the hell you did, okay, and you came to this country illegally, you are a criminal, okay? So you don't have the same rights. You don't have the same rights as law-abiding citizens, especially when you come in here with the desire to cause harm. When it's talking about drugs, we're talking about fentanyl, we're talking about trafficking of young and old women and children. Like, this cannot continue. This cannot continue. This puts American lives at risk, and this is the entire reason Trump won this election. What do the Democrats not understand about the seriousness of this situation? And how do you have a judge who's making all his money living behind a gated community feel like, I'm gonna stop this airplane, tell this airplane to turn around in the middle of the sky and bring them back so that they can like get interviewed and stand trial? No, send they asses back home, period. And then the president over there in El Salvador is like, I'll take them. He like, good. Hey, some of them here. It is what it is. Like, that's where they supposed to, that's where they came from. They came here illegally. What part of illegal are we missing? Like, there is a legal way to come into the United States and be a part of this country and to become a citizen and be all deeply woven into the thread of America. And coming here illegally, coming here in a caravan, coming here as a criminal, escaping persecution in your home country, coming here to sell drugs, coming here to cause harm is not the way. And if Trump and whatever government official is in office at that moment in time has to evoke whatever orders necessary to shut this down, then so be it. Nobody wants to see terrorists in this country. And that's aside from the gangs. We already saw what Trendé Aragua did to the apartments in Colorado. We already saw this in New York, upstate, not even upstate, in Queens. We've seen a lot of their trafficking going on in Queens. So, and those are just two places that I'm speaking of. And there's been countless, so many different incidences of these gangs uniting here in the States and doing horrible things to American citizens. So I think Trump was 100% right when he invoked this new, not even new, is old, when he evoked this 227-year-old act, the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, to get these folks up out of here, because the Democrats are going to fight him tooth and nail. They are the ones that caused all this chaos, and for whatever reason, they want it to continue. And it's just too dangerous. It's just too dangerous. I don't want to see any mother have to cry, on Capitol Hill and discuss what has happened to her child. No mother should have to go through that again. And if this was not happening, if these people coming into this country were properly vetted, we wouldn't be here. These mothers may not have experienced the heartache that they're experiencing now. And so I am 100% in support of what Trump is doing. And I am just appalled that a judge would actually order Trump to turn those airplanes around. Whew, that's a lot. But I want to hear your opinion. Please get in those comments and tell me exactly how you feel about this judge, how you feel about these gangs. And I mean, give it to me. Give it to me straight. I want to know how, my viewers are really feeling about this immigration system, this deportation setup that's happening right now, and how you have Democrats and Republicans literally at odds on how this needs to be resolved. So if you have not already and you enjoy my content, I can't even talk tonight, content, please do like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to continue to support the channel, please do go ahead and click the link in the description and buy your girl a cup of coffee, because like I've always said, I do need it to live, and I will most certainly drink every cup to the last drop. So again, thank you so much for being here with me. I love you. I appreciate you. And this is the Community Ledger. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and watch the next video. by clicking right here.